Hello and welcome to my Legends and Legacy show. I am Breda McCague. I have always been fascinated by inspirational people around the world, and now I am able to bring them directly to you. So listen, learn and get inspired. Hello and welcome to my latest edition of Legends and Legacy. And today I am joined by a lovely, lovely lady who I've got to know through the diversity scene around Ireland, and her name is Furkan. Furkan, you're my first female leader on this series, so I'm delighted that you're with me today.
Thank you so much for for hosting me, Breda. I'm really excited to be here today.
Excellent. So rather than me tell them who you are, I want you to tell them who you are. Tell us a bit about who you are and what you do, and anything else that you want to share with us.
Sure. My name is Furkan Karayel. I'm an inclusive leadership advisor at Diverse N. My background is actually in a completely different field. I worked in multinational tech companies for 10 years as a software engineer. And currently, as besides diverse and inclusion programs, I also lecture at IEDT about equality, diversity, and inclusion topics. So that's me in a nutshell.
Cool. And I remember you and me met. We were on a stage together a while back. We did a lean-in event, and you were one of our panel guests, and you were amazing. And I love what you do in social media as well. So I follow you a lot, and I think everybody else should give you a follow as well. I know you're on Twitter and some of the other ones.
Twitter, LinkedIn are the ones that I'm active. I'm also in all other channels, but Twitter and the LinkedIn ones, the one to follow. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And YouTube as well. Yeah, I should add that too.
Yeah. We're moving on, Furkan. We're going to YouTube. We are branching out, us ladies.
Yes.
Why not? Why not? So tell me, all of the legends that I bring on this show usually have had a rough start somewhere or a rough experience somewhere in life, no more than I have. And it has built some serious resilience for them. And I see that in you in spades. Tell us a bit about your background. What is the background to Furkan?
First of all, thank you so much for seeing me in that way, because I'm not 100% fully believing that I have that whole big resilience, but I'm much better than previous years for sure. When I think about it, Breda, that I think my resilience comes a little bit of with a little bit of self-awareness and vulnerability. So knowing that what are my weaknesses, being conscious of all these things, that definitely gives me more resilience, and being honest to myself about all these things and to others too. I don't know if you're familiar with Brené Brown's book, Dare to Lead, which is a very good book to read as well. So what Brené Brown says there is about carrying that armed shield around us, protecting us all the time from the outside world, and to build more resilience. However, on the other side, there is vulnerability. The big heavy shield is just so it's so difficult to manage. It's so energy consuming. And on the other hand, vulnerability is something that is very liberating and love. So it is one thing that keeping me resilient, maybe more resilient than my previous times. And also, when I think about it, my introverted personality is a good element to resilience as well. When I speak, before I do anything, even before I speak, I think a lot what I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna, how do I act. So like I'm a slow speaker as well. That's one of the piece that where it comes from my introversion, because of I overthink sometimes, which needs to be controlled as well. But in addition to all this, finally the lived experiences of all of us, building more resilience. I have done so many mistakes, especially in my entrepreneurship life. But we do, eventually we get up, we move on, and the life just goes on. I would like to share one method that I use, if you like, Breda, about the negativity, the resilience to negativity. So I have kind of like my own equation to support myself and build more resilience to negativity. So I ask these two questions to myself if I receive negative feedback or somebody who is really attacking me, like emotionally. The first thing is, I ask to myself, is this person has a special space in my life? Do they really do this because they know me? And the second question is this intentional? Are they doing it to hurt me? Or do they really care about me and my growth? So when I understand the intention of these, I can either, get the feedback, and I take it, this person is really giving this comment to me to see me in a better version. On the other side, if it's kind of like a really attack on really trying to hurt me, then I close my doors and I build kind of like goodbye, and I'm not really engaging with that negativity. That is my way of resilience to negativity.
Yeah. And those are good tips for anybody watching. You mentioned vulnerability there. And years ago, I wasn't very good at sharing my vulnerabilities either. And I think most people go through life learning from others how to hide vulnerabilities. And when we do that, nobody can help us. Nobody can help us progress. And I had to learn that too. And I think the value with age and wisdom means that I've learned to just be open with everyone, no matter where I am. Persona is the same with me, whether you meet me socially or in a work environment. I have totally thrown away all of that persona stuff that we have all learned, unfortunately, as teenagers and young adults. And I think the value that I've had from doing that is immense, because the entire world gets around you and wants to help. Well, that has been my experience. And I just think when we learn to open up to others and not have any persona there, then it makes all the difference. I think that's how, you and me can go on to help more people around diversity, and how we can teach more people how to get there. And then, God, there's so much stuff after that, like unconscious biases and all sorts of things that we can get into. But yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. And Brené Brown, I love her stuff. And there are so many others that I listen to as well. I don't know if you've ever seen Marissa Peer. I just think she's amazing. And I listen a lot to Tony Robbins too. But yeah, and now I want to ask you about where the diversity passion was born, because you are a massive advocate for diversity and inclusion. And I've seen some of the work you've done. I've been keeping an eye on you on some of the events that you do. And you're doing great things. And I think you're teaching a lot of people. So tell us where the advocacy was born there for you.
Before I answer this question, I would like to share my reflections that with your vulnerability, with your openness, Breda, people feel comfortable around you. I feel comfortable around you, even the first time that we met in person, so I think this is very valuable, and people see that around you as well, which is super important. So how did I end up getting into diversity and inclusion world? So as I mentioned before, I worked in software industry for about 10 years here in Ireland. And that was my childhood dream. I was very happy that I landed into my dream job 2 weeks after my graduation in Ericsson Athlone, and I was over the moon. So I thought this was the end, but actually it was the beginning.
Yay!
so what I've seen that over the years that I worked in different companies, so women were always in minority. I'm sure you have experienced that in the banking environment as well. So
and others.
You keep questioning like why, and you keep saying that there are many talented women. You know, where are these talented women are just disappearing? You know, in college, in the entry level, and then I have a little bit how to say, like I couldn't see anybody like me in the leadership positions of tech companies. So that was really like a wake-up call for me. At first, there's, you know, it's only like less than 12% in the leadership positions of tech companies globally. And then somebody who looked like me, a woman from different ethnic background, you don't even see them. And it's just so frustrating for you. And you feel like, why? What can I do? And I said, maybe I can start doing something, that I start talking about it. And what I have seen also, that diverse and inclusion words in the companies, you know, in the last 5 years, big tech organizations, they talk about diverse and inclusion a lot, but the reality is there was not really action going on. In the last place that I worked, I wasn't being even asked anything about if I need anything or if I would like to be involved in one thing. And I felt like my voice was not really being heard and listened to. It's not only about hearing, but also listening. So when I talk about to different people, I find that there were many people in my situation. I wasn't alone. I said, maybe I open up a space for people that they can share their own experiences too. So why I like to share my story is because people find some inspiration from it. They say, okay, this resonates with my situation too. They don't have to come from a different background. Maybe they have different view of the world, and maybe they have a different opinion about something else. So not being inclusive is just keeping everyone out of the norm, keeping everyone out of the circle, and then nothing is improving. The collaborations are not happening. People, you know, health, well-being, and happiness in the workplace doesn't happen. People leave, organizations leave a lot of, like the retention rates in the organizations are dropping. It costs a lot to organizations and so on. So I wanted to really bring all different voices into reality and give them the voice that they can share their stories, as well as I wanted to support all other existing diversity initiatives and groups. As my passion from the beginning was women in tech, I didn't want to only focus on women in tech or gender, but I wanted to look at diversity in a holistic way, where we could all be an ally to each other's, you know, differences, and we could all, you know, communicate. And after I launched Diversin, I started getting emails from Seattle to Australia. People wanted to be part of this project. And I said, wow, like people are really interested helping me on this. Then, like even today, I support many different diverse inclusion organizations. I never look at them as like a competitor or anything, because we are all working in the same mission. Today, I volunteer. I sit in the board, advisor board. I speak, or I help and mentor other diverse and inclusion organizations inside and outside of Ireland, about like 20 of them. I don't even know the count, but once they come and ask my opinion, I be there helping them. If I can't be there in person, but I give some directions, give one way of helping them as well. So that's how it all came together, really, Breda.
Yeah, and you've mentioned a few points there that I want to pick up on. You said that you couldn't see anybody like you. You couldn't even see women in the senior management levels of tech. And I remember meeting a female mentor many years ago, and I had been on the hunt, like you, looking for women that would inspire me and couldn't find any. And then I found this woman, and she said to me, you can't be what you can't see. And obviously we all know that saying and that mantra now, but back then that was a new one on me. That's years ago. And I remember thinking, she is so right. If young women and young girls are not seeing senior management female leaders, then they're not going to aspire to be that, because it's not even a picture in their mind. So I think by doing what you've done, Furkan, and making your voice heard and becoming visible, you have helped fill some of those gaps and some of those voids for many, many girls, I am sure. So I think, and another one of my favorite mantras is be the change you want to see. And like, you're a perfect example of that. So you seen there was a void there and a gap, and you filled it. You stepped in there, and you didn't have to ask permission or get permission, or someone didn't have to tell you to do that. You seen what needed to happen and you made it happen. So if anybody watching is looking for takeaways, take those away from this girl's story, because you said earlier as well about by telling our stories, other people learn. And I absolutely agree with that. I think that's what I've learned from it's watching other people's stories and people being honest and telling their story, because that's how we all learn from each other, which is the whole purpose, of course, of this YouTube show, Legends and Legacy, because I want more stories told so more people learn. So yeah, thank you for sharing all of that with us.
My pleasure. I would like to add something into this as well, that in my first very, very big talk, which was in a Dublin Tech Summit years ago, and like I was literally shaking. I didn't want to show it, but I was literally shaking, and I never felt like I have done a great job. I could have done better. That's I was feeling a little bit imposter. But after the talk, so many people came to me and they say how my story was resonating with theirs, and some of them said it was great to see somebody look like them on the stage. Other people say they got really inspired by my courage to be there, and so many things. That actually what kept me doing it more and more, because to me it's very uncomfortable to be on stage. But when I see all these stories, people coming and saying that how it brightened the day or inspired them, then I say, why not? I take that I choose that road.
And look at the impact you can have. And it's another good point, because I think everybody sees speakers and they assume speakers naturally just fall into these things. And I don't think that's the way it happens at all. I think most speakers that I've talked to all start somewhere, and often they find themselves doing things that make them uncomfortable. I do it all of the time to myself. But one of the things that keeps you going and makes you step out of your comfort zone is knowing that someone else will benefit because you did it. And that's exactly what you've described there. So again, another takeaway for anyone that's, trying to dim their own light, perhaps, you're not doing anyone any favors. Unless you step out of your comfort zone, then nobody learns. So it takes Furkan and myself doing things like this and hoping that others will see us and join us. Because you're right, Furkan, we are all on the same mission here, and we have so much work to do to try and get inequality into better shape, and so that everybody can bring their skills and their strengths, and as you said earlier, be happy at their workplaces. Like, there's so many people not happy in workplaces that it's sad. So we all need to do whatever we can do to try and improve that. So some super points there. I'm hoping they're all writing and taking notes from this. My next question for you is about legacy, because I am mad about legacy. And I'm always asking people, what kind of a legacy do you want to create? So tell us about what kind of a legacy you want to create and how you see that working out for you.
This is a fantastic question, Breda, to be honest. I always ask the same question to my mentees in my mentorship sessions to give them the bigger picture, like what is the life going to look like after, after so many years, that you want to feel like you achieved something, that's a big mission. Actually, my life motto is here: discover, share, and inspire. So I have this on the wall. So I have taken out of the wall for you today.
Thank you.
So I love discovering new things, completely different things. Could be playing a different instrument, could be learning something, a new skill that I haven't tried before. And then I absolutely love to share all these learning journeys with the people, with the world. It may be in a blog post or an article or a YouTube channel. And I like to inspire people, like you said previously, with either with the story or with my learnings, that if I spend, I previously worked as a systems engineer. In the system, you have to find out where the problems in the systems, you have to diagnose, and you fail so much, and then you keep a note, and then you share what worked, what was the relation between. So I absolutely love all these discoveries. So if I spend a whole day working on one problem, I don't want another person to spend the whole day in the same problem again. So being that my motto and goal, my dream, and hopefully my legacy will be this as well, is to build an online institution with my lifetime learnings and resources, with my learnings and over the years about diversity and inclusion, leadership, productivity, motivation, self-growth, your internal journey, your authenticity, all these things that will stay with people even after maybe I'm gone from the world. And I started doing a little bit of these things, plus like it's with my diverse in articles. I also contribute as a contributor as in Thrive Global. I started YouTube channels. Previously I had only one channel, and then I opened up another one in Turkish. I contribute, I do a lot of public talks, lectures in IADT, and with my online courses that I, share my learnings with leaders, my interviews and everything. So this is really my goal. When I'm gone, people can still keep learning, keep benefiting from my lifetime learning. So,
yeah, and that is a super goal, because when we go through experiences and the lessons are hard learned, I think it makes a lot of sense to record them. And as you say, that material then is there forever for other people to learn from. Because imagine if we all learned these kind of lessons early on in life, our lives would be expedited so fast. I mean, if I knew then what I know now, my life would have been very different, very different. And I'm hoping that from your work and my work and everybody else in this diversity space, that somebody somewhere will learn faster than we did. So, the world gets faster, better, and educates themselves better and faster.
Yeah, maybe we save few years for people's experience. Maybe they eventually end up finding their their path, but if maybe they have touched into our resources earlier, maybe it saves few years from their lives. So yeah.
Great. Now, a little birdie has told me, Furkan, that you have a new passion for one of our Irish instruments.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I have been thinking of starting to play a new instrument, which is probably a very hard instrument to start with, Celtic harp. And And in the lockdown time, I said, okay, I will go and get the harp and I'll start it today. So in actually early this month, I started learning harp, and I absolutely love the instrument itself, the sound, the learning journey with anything about harp, listening to different songs and trying to play it, trying to add the other hand, and as well, it's been a very interesting journey for me. But I discover something new every day. For example, like I'm a right-handed person, but my muscle memory is much, much better on my left hand. For example, I wouldn't have known about this at all. Yeah, I'm enjoying playing harp. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you play a little bit online, and I was so impressed because I've played traditional music for like since I was a kid. And the harp is one of the hardest instruments. I've sat down with harpists and watched them, and that is not easy. So congratulations, you. I was well impressed. Maybe
Yeah.
someday you and I can do a duet.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I still have to learn so much, but sure, it will be fun.
Yeah, yeah. So tell everybody where they can reach you. So and exactly what your business services are. What does your business do? Just for anybody watching who has an interest in the diversity space.
Sure. My business is called Diverse In. So you can find out more about it at diversein.com website. We help leaders to become role models for diversity and inclusion in the workplace. We provide services and trainings, workshops, or talks around diversity and inclusion, being a role model for diversity and inclusion, inclusive intelligence, engaging diverse teams remotely, women in the leadership, inclusive mentorship. So it's a whole the area of diverse and inclusion trainings. And also to find out about me, if you actually type my name, I find this very recently, that Furkan, which is my forename. My full name is Furkan Karayel. I have furkankarayel.com website as well. But if you just Google my forename, it brings you up to my page as well.
Nice.
Furkan, yes, yeah.
That's how unique you are. You're unique.
Thank you.
You're the only Furkan in town.
There are many Furkans, but I happen to appear on the first page, which is great. So yeah,
Brilliant. Well,
easier to spell.
they can find you very easily if they go into Google. Or as you said, you have your website. And I know you're brilliant across the social media channels as well. So you can find Furkan anywhere, like myself. Me and Furkan have got to know each other's work through online channels. So neither of us are shy on social media, and would be delighted to chat to anybody about diversity. And do give Diverse In. Is it diversein.com?
Yes, diversein.com, yeah.
Give it a look. Go in and check out Furkan's website. Well, Furkan, I think that's it for now. It's been lovely actually getting time to talk to you properly, because usually you and I are passing each other in an event somewhere and see that the other one was at it when we go to Twitter that night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's been cool that we've got a chance to do this. It's lovely. And we'll be putting this up on our YouTube, and everybody can have a look at it there, see what the takeaways are for them, and hopefully it stands to somebody somewhere when we share all of our little nuggets and all of our experiences.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me, Breda. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Furkan. Talk soon.